Welcome back. This is episode 2 of my podcast. My name is Marvelous Brown, aka Vail, who's serving you well and pushing more power than a Duracell. And I still have my fraternity brother, Mr. Darius Adams.
What's happening?
All right, and so this time we're going to talk about some technology that I've used in the class. And as you said, I've used some of this technology in some of our fraternity meetings, and we're going to talk about that.
Let's talk
We're
about
going to see how it is, see what you thought about it. We're going to talk about the strengths, the weaknesses, recommendations, and how it can help me out. So just to give you a little background, my research topic is helping new teachers in urban environments be very fluent. Like, I know we go through so many obstacles. Like, we learn one way in school and then get thrown in a totally different environment once we graduate.
Oh yeah.
And so I want to talk about some things that I've used recently and see what the strengths, the weaknesses, and how would you feel going forward? How do you think I should go about going forward?
Most definitely.
One of the main things that I've used, and even used this in our fraternity meetings, was Nearpod. And so Nearpod is a software, online software that you can use to create lessons. You can create presentations, for lack of better words, that have a lot of different interactions that can be for students or the participants that is in the presentation. So let's think back when I used this this software in our fraternity meeting.
Yeah.
What were some things that you saw that you liked? What were some things, how did you feel? I wasn't trying to make it too classy, but I was trying to make sure that we were interactive. But overall, what do you think about it?
One, using Nearpod, and especially for that meeting or whatever, that was very interactive. You know, you could have had like a PowerPoint where you were just pointing out the points that you want to point out, but Nearpod makes you interact. So it'll ask a question, and it's expecting you to give an answer, and Marvelous can see the answers that we give. So it's all interaction. He can see who's not answering, so then he can call them out. And that's pretty fun to call people out when they're not interacting, because why not call them out? But yeah, it's very interactive, and that's very good for students to have and to also use, like learning things, because sometimes in virtual learning, what we're going through right now, students are just doing the work and they don't care about it. Like, they're not processing it, they're not interacting with it, they're not really learning. They're just doing the work because they have to, because mom and dad say you have to go to school, get good grades, so they're just going to do the work for it. But interaction also allows the student to ask questions if they have to ask questions, or also if the student messes up, it also allows room to correct and give feedback where it's needed. Nearpod is really good. In the fraternity meeting, we were talking about life lessons, I believe, and it's very good to hear other people's opinions. And it's very private as well. Everyone doesn't see the response. Only he can see the response, but if they're okay with letting him respond to it, they can respond. It's always good to keep privacy, but if needed to be shared, absolutely can be shared. So that's a really good thing. That's also with Nearpod, and that was a really good meeting too, because it was pretty fun.
Right. So even with that, we had a collaborative board, and so for the people listening, a collaborative board is where you have a virtual bulletin board where you can share sticky note ideas and have people like your idea, and we could see what people have. As you said something earlier, privacy. And so your name is not on it when you submit your answer. So only the teacher will know who submitted the answer, but everybody will be able to see the answer on the collaborative board. And that just gives people the option to be a little bit more open than they probably had planned to be. That's one of the strengths that I can really think of right now. Just having that openness. Like, I probably wouldn't say this out loud, but since nobody will really know who I am, unless Mr. Brown or whomever is over the topic, it gives me a little bit more freedom. And so, with that being said, one of the weaknesses that I have encountered while using Nearpod is the fact of it can be loaded with users at times. Like, it could go slow, some of your presentations won't load, and it could be in the wrong time that it won't load. You could be in front of a classroom and you could be like, wow, this is really not loading, and I'm having to teach my students right now.
So lovely.
Right. What would you do in this situation? What do you think could be done if you prepared your lesson and it's on Nearpod and all of a sudden it's not working?
Yeah, so me personally, once I get into the education field, always having a backup with everything I do, making sure that I have paper, like always, with every lesson, it can be taught more than one way.
Yeah,
So making sure if technology can sometimes be a headache and sometimes stop working. So always be prepared with like the traditional paper and pencil, which you know that's not going to fail. At times, sometimes it does. But just making sure you have paper and pencil for every lesson, just to make sure you have a backup plan for everything, because we can't, and that's another thing with life and like what goes on nowadays, we rely way too much with technology. So just always making sure we're prepared with paper and pencil and things like that is very important to me.
Man, I appreciate you being on these episodes.
Oh, absolutely.
This is the end of the second one. Hope you enjoyed my podcast. Peace, love, and chicken grease.